Hey you guys! So today we are going to be reading a story for our Read Aloud. And the story that we're going to be reading is called Tucky, Joe, and Little Heart by Patricia Polacco. So before we start off, do you guys have any questions about the book? Or do you have any idea about what you think the book might be about? Benya?
I think it's about Patricia Polacco.
You think it's about Patricia Polacco? Okay, interesting. Keep that in mind while we read to see if that's what the book ends up being about.
I think it's a person named Tucky Joe and a person named Holt.
Wow, okay. So while we're reading this book, I want you guys to really look and listen to the story and see if what you think the book's about is what really happens, okay? So, you guys ready to get started? Perfect. So, Tucky, Joe, and Little Heart by Patricia Polacco. Let's skip ahead. So, I was born in Aloud, Kentucky on October 3rd, 1924. I grew up like any backcountry boy in Kentucky, tougher than last year's jerky and faster than a scared jackrabbit. I could whittle and carve just about any kind of stick or wood, and I could sneak up on just about anything. Came right handy for hunting. My pa taught me how to use a shotgun when I was knee-high to a grasshopper. By my 12th birthday, I was known in 3 counties for sharpshooting. I could hit the eye out of a gnat from a furlong away whilst I was on a dead run dodging a wild boar hog. I always took first prize over at the county fair for fancy shooting. I even caught the eye of the sweetest little old gal, Frida Hall, from over Prestonburg way. I knew when I was old enough, I was going to spark her. So, now that we've read the first page, do you guys have any questions or notice anything about the story? Katya?
It's about that red-haired person.
Yeah, it is about him. What do you think his name is?
Tucky Joe? Or Joe Tucky?
Tucky Joe or Joe Tucky? Yeah, I guess we'll have to see as we read along. But did you guys notice how some of the words were maybe a little different? It's kind of interesting, right? So what do you think why do you think there's some different words like that?
Because it's Western country.
Yeah, they're trying to show us how he actually talks and kind of his accent, right? So that's pretty interesting. So if you guys have any questions about any of the words, let me know, okay? When I was 10 or so, we heard all about the war that broke out in Europe and that feller Hitler. Then the paper said Pearl Harbor was bombed and we were at war with Japan in the Pacific. I told my mom that I was fixing to enlist in the army and go fight for my country. The onlyest thing was, I wasn't old enough to join up. Even though I'd promised my heart to Frida, I had to go. So soon enough, my folks lied me older when I went to go sign up. Sure enough, the Army took me that very day. After my basic training, I was assigned to the 6th Infantry, Company G, 20th Division. Then we were deployed to the Pacific Theater on the biggest ship I ever saw. I was miserable sick the whole way. The onlyest boat I ever seen was a river raft back home on the Hominy Creek. Being the youngest recruit on that there ship, almost everyone aboard was calling me that kid from Kentucky, or just the kid. At first, I didn't like them saying that, but after I got to show them how good I was with the rifle, and our sergeant picked me for special training as a marksman and for heavy ordnance explosives, they all looked up to me. I later became part of a very special unit that went into the jungle to seek and destroy machine gun nests and enemy outposts. Then, the Kentucky Kid moniker became a badge of honor. I could hardly wait to land and get into the thick of the fighting. Man, so can you imagine? He was 15 years old. Can you guys imagine being 15 and going into a war like that? That's pretty crazy. Almost as soon as we landed, we were thrown thrown into the worst of the conflict. I had never seen so much killing and suffering. Our division was sent to so many places to fight that everything started blurring together. My outfit was known as the Sightseeing Six because we held the record for the most consecutive days of continuous combat. We fought tooth and nail, cheek to jowl. We were in Milne Bay, the Maffin Bay, then Lone Tree Hill, New Guinea, Munoz, and finally we were on our way to Luzon in the Philippines. We had been battling for 219 days straight. Can you guys imagine that? 219 days, that's really close to a year, right? So can you imagine being away from your home for that long? Yeah, that's kind of hard, right? By the time we got to Luzon, I was blind tired. So tuckered, I could hardly put one foot in front of the other. I was plumb weary of the jungle. It was hot, steamy, stinking, and thick. And the bugs. I never seen so many bugs. There were snakes, lizards, and big spiders too. It rained every day. The ground was always damp and mushy. Our feet never got dry. To think that I wanted in on all this fighting. Now I knew there ain't no glory in the war, but I was in the army and it was up to me to take a stand and fight for my country. But at night I'd have dreams about my ma and her bacon powdered biscuits. I could even smell the pine boards in our house. I could see the green grass in our holler. Oh, how I wanted to be back home with my ma and Ken. Have you guys ever missed home so much you can just imagine it? No? Have you guys ever been away from home for very long? No. So that's kind of hard to imagine, right? But if you had to think about being away from home for that long, how does it make you feel?
Sad.
Sad? So you guys would be really sad to be away from home? How else do you think you might feel?
Mad.
Mad? Yeah. So what do you think?
Lonely.
Lonely? Yeah. I could definitely see all that. Do you think that's how our character Johnny is feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can imagine, because 219 days is a long time. My unit's mission on Luzon was to clear the jungle, to build an airstrip, and also to level the land to biovac and pitch our tents for an outpost. So just about every day I was swinging a machete at thick underbrush and slashing vines. One day I stopped for a swig of water from my canteen. The bugs were swarming all around me. Some of them were as big as my hand. All of them were stinging me. I was being eaten alive. I was a scratching fool. I had welts all over every inch of my skin. Some of them burned and hurt like bites from fire ants back home. Then I heard rushing water. I pulled back the underbrush and saw a small native village just yonder from me at the bend in the river. I saw village women standing knee-deep in the river trying to catch fish with their bare hands. Then, suddenly, I could feel someone behind me. I turned real fast and drew my rifle. Standing there like something out of a dream was a scrawny little old girl. She wasn't bigger than a minute and looked weak as a fawn deer. I dropped to my knees and drank her in. Somehow looking at that innocent tiny girl gave me a peace that I hadn't felt in a long time. She reached out and touched one of the swollen bug bites on my arm. Then she bent down and plucked a plump leaf from a ground-hugging plant. She broke it in half and squeezed the goo that was oozing out of it on the bite. It was an instant, blessed relief. So as both of us picked up them leaves and put the medicine that came from them on all my bites. Thank you, little angel, I whispered. She just blinked at me. Didn't smile, didn't say nothing. Just looked at me with those beautiful haunted eyes. My name's Kentucky John, I said as I pointed myself. She cocked her head to one side. Kentucky Johnny, I said louder. She just stared. "I got something you'll like," I said as I pulled a chocolate bar from my cave ashes. I held it out to her. I knew she wanted it real bad, but she held back till I put it in her tiny hand. Then she stuck the whole block into her mouth. I thought she'd choke on it. She chewed hungrily at it, barely taking breaths to swallow. Okay, so what do you guys think? Who do you think this little girl is?
Little heart.
You guys think it's going to be Little Heart, and so what do you think is going to happen between Johnny and Little Heart?
They're gonna play.
You think they're going to play?
Be friends.
You think they're going to be friends? I think those are both really good predictions. You guys ready to find out?
Mm-hmm.
Then both of us just sat there for the longest time. It made me feel calm and less homesick to be there with her. "Wonder what your name is," I muttered. Then I noticed a small birthmark on her arm. It was shaped like a perfect small heart. "Little Heart," I sang out. "That's what I'm a-calling you," I whispered to her. "Tucky Joe." She suddenly blurted out as she pointed at me. "Tucky Joe, Tucky Joe, Tucky Joe," she sang as she turned and ran back into the jungle. I gathered up as many of them leaves as I could to take back to camp with me. So, what do you guys think? Do you think your predictions are coming true?
Mm-hmm.
When I got back, I showed the medics them leaves and how they made the bites better. Pretty soon, them leaves were being used to heal any kind of skin scrape. I figured it wasn't a good idea to tell anyone about Little Heart, being that sometimes natives were scouts and spies for the enemy. I guess I was afeared that our captain might think that, so I kept Little Heart as my own secret. I spent most of that night whittling the hinge dancing doll for that little girl. I made lots of them back home for my kin. We called these chicky dolls. Each arm and leg were wired at the elbow and knee so that when you shook it, the arms and legs waved, like they were dancing. Then I put the body and head on a stick. I couldn't wait to see Little Heart to show her how to make it dance. That's all I need.